What's up, guys? Tugi here, back again with some more NHL 16 and my New York Islanders GM Mode series. Obviously, in the last episode, we had the Season 2 draft. I was looking at your feedback for that. I'll be looking at your feedback for what we do, whatever that may be. In this episode, we'll put that all together, combine that with whatever I do here, and we'll make something out of it. We will make this team into what it should be, which I don't even know at this point. Let's get on now to the ReSign phase, because we do have some things to to take care of. Just stumbling over my words already. What a wonderful start. And the menu system is glitched. This episode is going to be something special. I can tell you that right now. Anytime this wants to let me go to the goalie tab, that would be great. Look at it go. Look at how quick it is. There we go. fucking hell, yeah. First bit of business, we need to re-sign Thomas Greiss. At the very least, he'll probably be our backup for at least a decent bit of time. I'm going to sign him to a one-year deal, just in case. I mean, I don't want to overextend with goaltenders. We're going to leave Berube as it is, and then of course we have a metric ton of goalie prospects. Calvin DeHaan needs a new contract. He is looking for a decent amount. I mean, at the moment, he is a top 4 defenseman, so I can see why he'd be wanting to get paid like one. We'll see if he accepts 4.5 over 2 years. Brendan Gormley needs a new deal, and he is looking to get paid like a top 4 defenseman, which is not ideal for us in the slightest. We'll see if he takes 3.9. I could have gone with a qualifying offer for him. I'm kind of hoping he declines that. Brendan Smith, who we, of course, acquired along with a first-round pick for Anthony Cirelli, we are going to let him go to free agency. Let's see. Adam Pelech needs a new contract. He will not take a two-way deal beyond 1 year, so we will just sign him to that. Matt Finn back into the fold. We can get him for 2 years. We'll offer him the max contract of $950. Matt Hunwick, who we acquired from Toronto, I believe in the Timashov and Dermott trade, can be let go. Same with Nate Ginnon, who was depth for us in the past season. Oleg Yavenko, who we got in the Siebenaler trade, can go. Let's see, is there anybody else? Jake Chelios, who we brought in early on last season through trades, he can go. And that is it for the moment. We, of course, have the ridiculous amount of defensive prospects as well. P.A. Parento needs a new contract. He's looking for 2.5. I'll see if he takes 2.25 for 1 season. Zach Ronaldo can go. Andrew Miller can go. He was depth. And, of course, most of these guys we had to acquire last year to get rid of people. Craig Cunningham can go. Eric Bolton's contract is finally up, thank God. At the very least, say what you want about some of the moves, I honored Eric Bolton's contract, and I deserve praise for that, because I don't know how many other people would have held on to him for as long as I did. Zach Smith needs a new deal, and he will definitely be getting it. He will be in that bottom 6 for some time to come. We'll see if he accepts 2.8. Casey Cizikas still has a long way to go. Tim Schaller can be released. Gabriel Dumont can be released. Wade Megan, the same thing. This is going to be a very, very different roster coming up than what it was last year, especially down in Bridgeport. But here we go. Let's see through this first batch of contract offers who accepts. P.A. Parento is back, so that is good. Greiss, Calvin DeHaan, Adam Pelech, Zach Smith, Matt Finn, and Gormley all back, and I believe that was it. I don't think anybody declined. We have $11 million in cap space, and I think we are good to go, and indeed we are. So let's move on to free agency. We have a ton of roster spots and quite a bit of cap space, so we can move forward here and potentially make an impact on the market. We do need... Oh, shit, I forgot the qualifying offer Berube. That's what I forgot to do. Whoops. All right, let's... I might just sign him to a contract in general and then probably trade him. I'm not sure. You know what? Let's just sign him to a 1-year deal, and we'll figure out the goalie situation from there, because the goalie situation is pretty ridiculous. Okay, what was that saying? You have unsigned players. Well, no shit. I'm working on signing them. I'm sure he'll accept our deal, and indeed, he did. So Berube is back, although technically if I trade him, as my controller disconnects again, what is going on? I think technically if I trade him, I would lose a little bit of coaching prestige, for lack of a better term, because technically showed as a free agent. Speaking of free agents, here is the list. There is no... Tyler Johnson. Tyler Johnson could really fit in. I know he's technically a first-line center, but he's more of a second-line than, say, Sean Monahan, based on his overall. Tyler Johnson may be the guy to go after here. I mean, there aren't really too many other big names. I mean, goalies is the other big one. That's the big question. Ben Bishop, the free agent. Okay, well, Ben Bishop and Tyler Johnson are certainly targets for us right now. And if I get this damn mosquito away from me, I think ideally we would sign both of them. It says we have $13 million in cap space. I think we could pull it off, just barely. But let's see here. As far as centers go, Tavares number 1, Suzuki Smith make up the bottom pairing. So obviously there is more than enough room to have Tyler Johnson. And then goaltending, if we were to trade Antti Ranta right now, and just to free up that cap space, because Greiss still shows as a backup goalie, he wouldn't be we wouldn't be getting too much of a cap relief, but it would be something. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Hopefully the Ducks need a goalie. They absolutely do. We've already picked up quite a few of their draft picks. He might be worth a little bit more. Can we get a second-round pick for Antti Ranta? And we can. Well, shit. Maybe I should have tried to get more. Ranta is gone to the Ducks for a second-round pick. That frees up just a little bit more cap space. And I think we have to. I mean, the retained salary is certainly factoring in, and that's why it's showing as 11 as opposed to the regular number. I don't know if we can offer more money than Calgary, Florida, or Toronto. I'm gonna go 6.8 for 4 years, and we'll see if he accepts that. And that way too, we can get an offer into Ben Bishop, because getting Ben Bishop right now would be huge, and that would solve our goalie issues without anything. But my God, is he looking for a lot of money? So I am. Why did that jump to 11 million per? What is going on? Okay, hold on a second. What is happening here? So now it's saying 6.5 for 1 year, but if I move it, the asking price jumps to 11. I don't understand what's going on there. I'm just going to offer him 1 year because I don't know what is going on with that, and we will see if here Johnson accepts. As far as prospects go, we have Troy Timpano there, who of course we had in the Vancouver series. Other than that, we have backup goalies. As far as normal prospects go, Jeremy Morin isn't really one. You notice all these guys are 24, 25, 26. As far as youth goes, we could potentially look at Martins Dierzekals. My God, what a name that is. I might just let him go elsewhere. And then there's Kutak. Fabian Haberstich is there. I don't know. That's the question. I think I might just try to bring in maybe one person. I'm not going to go crazy with those signings. But first and foremost, we need an answer from Tyler Johnson and or Ben Bishop. Can we get either of those players? We get an offer from Mike Ribeiro. I will tell you right now, even if we pick Nashville in a future series here, while I'm here on YouTube, Mike Ribeiro will never be on one of my teams. Thank you. Come on, though. Can we get an answer from either man? Ben Bishop says no. Tyler Johnson is a Toronto Maple Leaf. Okay. So we may have missed out on both of them. It didn't say Bishop signed, but Tyler Johnson's gone, and we're going to have to find our center elsewhere. Ben Bishop is still there. He wants 8 years, which we can't offer. We can offer 7. And if we go to 7, it does go... I mean, Jesus, can we offer a 30-year-old goalie that much money? Like, I know he wants term. All right, if I go 5 years, since we don't have to worry about Tyler Johnson now, we are going to have to try and trade for a second-line guy. If I go 7.25 for 5 years, will Ben Bishop take that? And that's probably overpaying. No doubt about it. Holy shit, they're offering Thomas Yurko for a second? Are you serious? Let me look at this really quick. Thomas Yurko, 24 years old. Ooh, he's a 78. That has to be a morale thing. That has to be a morale thing. God, I'd take that? Like, that has to be a morale thing. There's no way he'd be a 70. Yeah, because he's listed as a second-line guy. Do I give up a second-round pick for Thomas Yurko? I think I'm going to have to. Like, that's a crazy offer. It's not like we're going to have any trouble with draft picks here. Let me look at this really quick, and then we'll figure out the Ben Bishop saga. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There is room for him. I mean, it might take away Barzal's spot on the roster. There is room for him. I mean, God, but he might be taking away a spot. Tavares, Stalcall, Goodrow's top line. Strome, Lee, and probably Ladd on the second. Smith, Cizikas. I mean, he would be forcing Prince and Nelson probably down to the fourth line. And I'm going to decline that. I'm going to decline that because I'm going to prioritize the development of players that we already have. But that is a crazy good offer. Ben Bishop, will you please accept the goddamn deal? Oh my God, it's July 11th, and there we go. All right, so Ben Bishop is a New York Islander. We have our elite goalie for 5 years at $7.25 million. Okay. And thankfully, I believe after next year, the salary retention ends after this upcoming season. So when we have some contracts that we need to worry about next year, which we can take a look at what those would be, that includes John Tavares. So thank God that retained salary will come off the books next year because Tavares is going to be looking for a monster deal. Absolutely. But, all right, let's take a look here. So we have a little bit of cap space left, just a little bit. I'm probably going to take a look. I don't think we're going to need to sign anybody else. Like, I could go for Hansel as our second-line center. I mean, he would fit the bill. Like, we acquired him in Vancouver, and he wasn't too bad for us. I mean, I'd probably have to lowball him, though. Let's see, Thomas. Like, guys like Fleischman, all these other guys we don't really need. Let me take a look at the prospects again really quick. Again, I don't want to be cheap with it. If I sign anybody, it'll probably be just one person. And that would probably be... You know what? I'm not even going to sign anybody. Not with the low top nine. The only guy I was thinking about was Troy Timpano. And I don't really... I don't really want to do that. You know what? I think that'll do it for free agency. I think we're going to move on to the start of next season, take a look at some player potential changes, potentially overall changes as well, and we'll see where this team stands. But we do, at the end of this, have Ben Bishop. So, guys, we have our first trade, and it's a big one. It's one I didn't want to make, but we had a logjam of defensemen, and really it is a fairly realistic trade. We send Brendan Gormley and Scott Mayfield. Now, I really hate trading both of them, but it was either Gormley or DeHaan, and I stayed truthful. I kept that pact with Calvin DeHaan, seeing as he was actually an Islander. So we send Gormley, who was 25 with elite potential. He's at an 85 overall now. It's risky. DeHaan's at an 84. We also send away Scott Mayfield, and that's very tough. He is top 4 D potential, I think 24 years old, but it was him or it was Ryan Pulock, and that's a no-brainer. In return, we get Matt Bradley, Jeremiah Addison, and a couple of big picks from the Canadiens, and I say it was realistic because Montreal really needed the defensive help, and I'll show you guys this here. We'll take a look at Montreal's defense. They were in cap trouble, and you look at what their defensive situation was. Brendan Gormley is now their second best defenseman. 3, 4, 5, 6. Scott Mayfield is also in the lineup, as opposed to Dalton Thrower and Patrick Nemeth, or, for that matter, Zach Redmond. Devin Taves is still there, only a 79 overall, so I'm all right with that trade at the moment. And then defensively for us, like I said, it was Gormley or Calvin DeHaan. We stuck with DeHaan. And then as far as the righty-lefty dynamic goes, we want to stick with that. It was either Mayfield, Pulock, or Pelech. And seeing as Pelech has high elite potential at an 81 overall and will be in our lineup, he will be playing with Ryan Pulock, most likely. We had no choice but to trade him. Our next move, and you heard me say this once we re-signed him because I had a pretty strong feeling it was going to happen, Berube to the Sens for a 5th-round pick in the upcoming draft. We don't get much of a return on him, but the fact is we got other goalies that we need to prioritize. Linus Soderstrom is good to go as the starter down in Bridgeport. Adam Werner, for the moment, has been signed as his backup. I was tempted to go with Ingram just because he is a starter or starter potential. He is only a 70 overall. I wasn't sure with who to go with, but English. So we went with the highest overall, and that was Adam Werner at a 74 overall. So Berube is gone. Next up, kind of a surprising trade. Joel Kiviranta, it was now low AHL top 6 forward potential. I hate to get rid of Totally Spanish. I wanted him to succeed. It's just not going to happen, but he did have a fair bit of trade value, so we package him with 2 4th-round picks and send him to Pittsburgh for their 2nd-round pick in the upcoming draft. So guys, to wrap up this episode, I have a big question for you, but first let's take a look at the roster. Our top line for the New York Islanders is pretty damn good. It's Michael Dal Colle, now a 90 overall at 21 years old. He is with Tavares and Johnny Gaudreau, all lefties, probably the one downside to it. Second line will be Andrew Ladd, Anders Lee to start. Now he is a second line forward, and rather than bringing in, somebody else like a Martin Hanzal, I think it's worth having Anders Lee here because that means Matthew Barzal can be in the lineup. But Lee is with Strome, and things are looking pretty good for him. We'll keep him on the second line, although who knows, maybe. I mean, if Dal Colle or Gaudreau struggles, Strome definitely goes right up to the top line. Third line, due to not bringing in Yurko from Detroit, that allows Shane Prince, Matthew Barzal, and Brock Nelson to be the third line. I think it's pretty good. Gives Shane Prince a little bit more of a chance than he had last year when he was on the fourth line. Speaking of the fourth line, we of course have P.A. Parento back. He is with Zach Smith and Casey Cizikas, and I know people want Cizikas to have more of a chance, and maybe we'll give him one. I mean, he is a fourth liner. Like, he just is. We saw he didn't exactly work out on the third line. But that said, if Brock Nelson struggles, we could easily boost Cizikas up to there. Let me know what you think of the lines and just the players in general. But I'm pretty excited about that lineup. I think it'll be pretty good. Defensively, it is Nick Leddy with Johnny Boychuk, Calvin DeHaan with Hamonic. Hamonic was an 87. He dropped off a bit because of the trades we had to make. The third pairing is Adam Pelech. Again, high elite potential now. He is with Ryan Pulock on that third pairing. I'm excited to see what they can do. The goaltender, it is Ben Bishop with Thomas Greiss as the backup. That is one hell of a tandem, and I can't wait to see what they can do. As far as depth players go, I really like what we had last year with Ginnon and Cunningham. So this year I went out, I got some players that are just a little bit better. They're all designated as depth players as well. We have Daniel Winnick ready to step in case of injury. And on defense, we have a right-handed shot in Robert Bortuzzo and a left-handed shot in Chris Butler, all on one-year contracts. And this will save me a little bit of time rather than having to call up players all the goddamn time. Now, the question I had for you was, what do we do in Bridgeport? And actually, there are two questions. Do we set up Bridgeport to make the playoffs, or do we set up Bridgeport to just really get our young guys some playing time? The top 9 are players currently under contract to us. We don't have enough forwards signed to fill all 4 lines. So my question is, do I go out and sign some good potential guys, guys that could really be low-level NHLers, mid to high 70s, to make sure that guys like Quine, Hosang, Beauvillier, Tyler Soy, to make sure that these guys make the playoffs and get playoff time? Or do I go and sign some of our unsigned rookies at this point and just put them in and let the youth play? What do you guys think there? The same thing defensively. We could easily go out and sign some better talent, or we can allow guys like Noah Carroll and Maxim Alexandrov, who we just drafted, to actually get some playing time. Unfortunately, our defensive depth right now pretty much it ends after Wotherspoon and Van de Sample because, of course, we had, guys get called up and, trading away Mayfield and things like that. But let me know, do we set up Bridgeport to be successful, or do we set them up to just get the young guys some playing time? Of course, the goalie tandem is Soderstrom and Warner. And as far as the young guys go, I will show you who we have yet to sign at this point. If we go with the young guys idea, there are definitely some low-level overalls that you guys saw how low-level some of these guys are that we could bring in. The top priority would be signing Matthew Strome. He's only a 53, but if we go with the young guys idea, he would be basically put right on the top line for Bridgeport, which I don't know if Bridgeport would be a very good team, but remember this. Remember Vancouver, and if you didn't watch the Vancouver series, feel free to go back and watch it. We had a certain guy, you might know him, he ended up being a 99 overall that we put on the first line down in Utica when he was a very, very low overall, and he turned into an absolute beast. So let me know what you think. Should we set up Bridgeport to be a playoff contender and go out and sign some good free agents to really help bolster that team, or should we sign the young guys that we have yet to sign, including Hischier, including Safin? Defensively, Cal Foote is the main one that hasn't been signed. He's only a 57 overall. We also have Donaghy and Cal Fleury. That is it, though, for this episode. Keep those questions in mind, what you think of the roster and what we should do with Bridgeport. And yeah, guys, that'll do it for this one. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, make sure to help support the channel by hitting that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already to continue following this series. And I will see you guys in the next one as we start Season 3.